further ado, I want to turn it over to Andrew Kagan to introduce tonight's speaker. So Andrew.
Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for the introductions and going through our, regular set of, standards and, community norms. I just wanted to give you guys a very brief introduction. Before I do that, I think Andy stole some of my thunder already. I just wanted to mention that we have been at this with this community for a little over a year. I believe we did an inaugural session in January of 2021. And that one was, by the way, on the subject of cybersecurity. It was very fresh on the heels of SolarWinds hack, and we were all talking about the big cyber, the software supply chain, and all those other things. And now, 17 very successful events later, the community is over 1,000 people strong. This was our first goal, first milestone that we set for ourselves. We just reached it over this long weekend. So I want to congratulate all of you and thank all of you participating in this. And with that said, I just wanted to introduce our speaker tonight, Gabriel Friedlaner, who's the CEO of a great company, Wizer, a great partner of ours, and the company that brought to bear the platform that, in their own words, they describe as no-nonsense security awareness solution, even your mom will like. With that said, Gabriel, to you.
So thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited about this session. This is sort of like the reason that I started Wizer. A little bit of a background about myself. I've been a cybersecurity entrepreneur. I've built businesses around cybersecurity for many years. And after I sold my last company, I took some time off. Was hanging out with my family more than ever. And when I was talking to them about security, I realized that my kids and my family have no clue about cybersecurity. I've been preaching companies all day long about cybersecurity and how to protect themselves. But when it came to my own, home, I realized that I haven't been educating my kids. And we're going to go over some of those things that I think that everybody should practice and know. But before we start, I would love to get a sense of the audience. Are there any kids here today? I'm just wondering, because that will also help me with the questions that I have.
So feel free to just use the raise hand, or you should be able to put a thumbs up in the reaction. I know we've got a few in the audience.
Okay, awesome. So there are a few kids here, so that's great. Thank you, by the way, guys, for coming over. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yep. Yeah, Gabby, you'll probably need to reshare since I was presenting. So if you just reshare your tab, you'll be good to go.
Okay, I am sharing my Chrome tab, and I am sharing it. Okay, so you should be able to see this, right?
We see you now. Yes, sir, Gabby.
Okay, perfect. Now, keep in mind that I can't see any one of you. I can't see the chat. So if anyone has anything to say, the moderators will stop me talking. And please, if you have any questions, just, raise a hand and ask them. It will be much more fun if it's going to be interactive. And if you had any question about cybersecurity, online safety, and I haven't presented it, honestly, at any time, you can just raise your hand and ask. This will make it more fun. So I'll skip the part about me. And I want to ask you, before we start, this is like a small game that I like to play. Can you find a mistake? Look at this and tell me if any of you can find it. I'll give you a few minutes. And by the way, there's no space here. I know that people, usually think there's a space here or stuff like that, but nothing of that sort. So again, I can't see anything you're saying. So are there any answers?
Not yet, but people may still be looking.
All right, someone have their hands raised. I think Jason. Was it from the previous question or this one? Come on, guys, just chat, just type in.
Can you
All
find
I'm
the
saying
mistake?
is Instagram not HTTPS? Greg is asking.
No, it is actually, and it's good that it is.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Brian, do you have an answer?
We got
Yeah,
one.
is it that the colon is supposed to be after the 2 slashes?
No.
Greg has answer. The is actually there twice.
Yes. Here is the problem, and here is what I want to tell you about. About cybersecurity in general when it comes to humans. It's all about distraction and misdirection. And we're going to see that a lot today. This is what we call social engineering, and they trick us time after time. It's almost like magic, when you think about social engineering. That's basically trickery, when they make us do something without us even knowing that we were supposed to do that. We think the teacher emailed us, but it's actually not the teacher. We think our friends messaged us, but it's not our friend, because we don't pay attention to small things, and we'll see that today. So a lot of the things we're going to talk about has to do with distraction and misdirection. I know that you may feel that it's not fair, this, but the whole point was to make you look at Instagram and this whole slide, while the actual problem was somewhere else. So let's keep on going here. One last, just to prove my point, I'm going to play another, I think it's 10 seconds. Look at this experiment that they've done, just to show you how bad we are at noticing stuff.
Now watch as I replace Vin. You might think people would notice the switch, but almost half the time they didn't.
So the guy, look at the guy. One had shorts, the other one had long pants. Obviously, they were different people. They had different hats, and still half of the time people didn't notice it. It's called change blindness. That's the scientific term, but it happens all the time, where we think we multitask, we think we're paying attention to one thing, but the thing is happening elsewhere because we were focused on one particular thing that caught our attention. So that's something that happens a lot in social media and hacks and scams and so forth, which basically my point to you guys is that this can happen to anyone. Doesn't matter how technical you are, or how much you know about security or not, how old you are. It happens to all age groups. I've been talking to victims, and I can tell you, kids, adults, elderly people, everyone gets scammed. Has nothing to do with how smart you are or anything like that.
Now watch as
Okay. One last question for you guys before we continue. Did any one of you get your username and password from school, or did you make it up? I'll wait for a second for the kids to answer. I know the adults probably didn't have internet when they were at school, many of us, but at least the kids.
I can say this, Gabby. I've worked with people. There's one person that did. I've worked with people that got it directly from school, and when they've come on and started working at other places, they still have that email address and things like that. So those legacy emails do come over from various colleges and stuff.
Yeah. Look, unfortunately, this is one of the things that I learned from my kids, because when I was doing cleanup and I was talking to my kids about cybersecurity and how important it is, and I was like, "What's your password?" And they gave me their password, and I asked them for which app, and they said, "No, we got it in 3rd grade and we're using it for all the apps in school because that's what school told us to do." And I said, "Okay, like, what's the format?" And they said, "Oh, it's something like our class and our name." So basically you can guess any kid's username and password. And they said, "Yeah, basically, yeah." So this is bad habits. I know that it's, not easy to go to the teacher and say, "Hey, can I change my username and password?" But, definitely don't get this as an example. This is a bad example of how to manage accounts. You really don't want to use the same username and password across all apps, and you definitely don't want something simple, and we're gonna talk about that soon. Actually, I have here a great example. So Dexy D'Amelio, she's Charlie's sister. Some of the kids probably know her from TikTok. She's one of the biggest. So I took this screenshot actually I think about a year ago. And back then she had, I think, like, well, I checked, she had 46 million followers. I think today she's more around the 90 million. And her account was hacked. And basically they deleted her account. Like, think about it, 46 million followers. They got into her account and deleted it. And now, because she was one of the most, famous TikTokers, TikTok somehow recovered it for her, but they probably won't do it to anyone else. But what do you think her password was? Like, how do you think she was hacked? And I'm talking about somebody with 46 million followers. Anyone there? So basically, this is what she wrote after she got hacked. I guess Dexy123 was a bad password. And guys, this is happening all over. People, and again, that's also the problem with the school, that they're giving sometimes passwords that include your maybe your name. Using your name in the password, whether it's 123 or hash or whatever special characters you put after that, is just a bad idea. Don't use, we're going to see this in a second. I have another experiment for you, but your passwords have to be long. And to prove my point, let's play another short game. So this is an average time it takes to crack a password. When I mean crack a password, I mean, there's software that runs code, that code basically tries different variations of passwords, and they can run like in a second, like thousands or hundreds of thousands, or or millions, depends on the power of the computer. So basically what criminals do sometimes, they have your username, and then they will try to basically throw tons of password on that username and figure out what it is. So I gave you the results for, like, what is it, rough, it depends on the computer strength, but we can see that 7-character password is 1 minute, and she had Dexy123, so that was like, like, even if they didn't have her password and they couldn't guess it, it would still probably take an hour to crack if it's like 7 or 8 characters. 9 characters is 3 to 4 days. 10 characters is 7 months. What do you think is 11 characters? Anyone wants to take a guess? And I'm talking about just, not like crazy passwords, just, without special characters. I'm just talking about lower, uppercase.
You have a guess in the chat of 9 to 12 months, Gabby.
That's what they said, 9 to 12 months. Okay. So for 11 characters, it's roughly 40 years. Just to understand the complexity that another character adds. And any guess for 12 characters, now that you know sort of the magnitude of this?
Oh, hundreds of years.
Yeah, well, around 2,000 years. And again,
Okay,
this is what,
yeah.
Again, this may not be accurate, but this is sort of, the range, which teaches us like how important it is, every additional character. So it's more about the length of the password than the complexity of the password. Of course, if you have like a 7-character with different, special characters, it will be harder to crack. But if you have just, simple words with numbers and it's 12 characters, you can't beat that. Even if you have 7 characters with special characters, a longer password is almost always better, which leads us to a trick, how to create a strong password. Basically use a phrase. What I usually do, and a phrase when I mean like, think about, let's say 3 random words, like dinosaur riding a time machine. Okay, so just imagine, now you can imagine that as a picture, dinosaur riding a time machine, right? This is like 3 words. It's long, I can remember it because it's funny. I can sort of imagine what it looks like. So just come up with 3 random words, sort of connect them into like a funny picture or something similar, and that's your password. That can be like a great password as long as it's long. It doesn't have to be like a nonsense password. Um, that's basically a good, strong password. However, don't reuse them. Don't reuse the same passwords over and over again, which brings me to another topic, which is if you find it hard to remember all those passwords, depends on how many apps you have or how many websites you have. There are tools like password vaults that will create long passwords for you. You can ask your parents. Some of the better ones can be paid, so it's a subscription. It's not very expensive. But if you do want to like manage your passwords and have them randomized and very long passwords, there are tools for that. But if you're not going with a password manager route, just 3 words, imagine them, and that can be your password. Just don't use any personal information like Dexy did. Don't use birthdays. Don't use like your name, your family name, your dog name, because criminals know that. They can find that information almost very easily on the web, on your social media. And once they have that, then they just add 1, 2, 3 or different characters. And then again, it becomes, even if your password is long, if it includes your last name and first name, it would take no time to crack it. So,
Gabby, I have a question. I know one of the best practices in addition to passwords is to try to use some sort of multi-factor authentication, right?
Yes.
That's what we often do professionally. That
Yeah.
oftentimes is a challenge for, kids or other people who don't have a cell phone, don't have some. Do you have any suggestions for any good options for that for people who may not, be old enough to have a cell phone yet?
That's actually a really good question that I'm not sure that I have an amazing answer. There are different levels of multi-factor authentication, including an email that you can use. You can print out and then create new ones, but again, that's a little bit of a hassle. I have, and I also bought my kids a USB physical device multi-factor authentication, which I actually like better regardless. And then you just put it in the computer and that's it. So you can have, and it's not that expensive again. And I think it teaches, probably the best, security practice, having like an actual key. So let's talk about multi-factor authentication, and then we'll talk about that key, because we give our kids key to get into our home, right? Like we are used to having keys. So I think a physical key to log in online is not a bad idea. But obviously, not everyone wants to spend the money, on this. So let's talk about, why multi-factor authentication. I think this is important, exactly because what you said. So here is the thing. There have been over 11 billion accounts that were stolen from hacked site. What does that mean? That means that even if you have a very strong password, everything that I said before, very, very long, you have a password manager, like you're really secure from that point of view. The thing is, it's not only about how you protect your account, it's also about the websites that you registered, the apps that you signed up to. And what happens is that many of those sites, including the biggest ones, Snapchat had a data leak, eBay, Facebook, obviously a few times. Like, guys, the amount of accounts that have been stolen is 11 billion. That's like more than people on Earth, right? So, and I think that's the ones that, are publicized. Probably there's more than 11 billion accounts, which means that if the site that you registered for got hacked, they may have your password no matter how strong it is, and you may get hacked because of that. So I think it's really important to understand that just a single password, no matter how strong it is not enough. By the way, you can check on your own if your email was leaked and if your password was leaked, and almost everyone has. There is a website called Have I Been Pwned? And if you go there, you can just put in your email and you will probably see that one of the websites that you registered for was hacked, which brings me also to remind you why you don't want to share passwords, because if you reuse that password everywhere, then as long as I get your password from a single site that was hacked, that you even forgot that you ever signed up for that game, you forgot about it totally, but that site was hacked, your password was stolen, and now they're going to try that password on your Snapchat, on your Instagram, on everything else. So that's why we need multi-factor authentication, which is basically what you spoke about. And multi-factor authentication is when, and I guess, those that do have a phone, sometimes you're getting a code when you log in to different apps. It tells you, please put in the code that was sent to you after you put in your username and password. That's in order to verify that you are who you say you are. So you have a phone for that. So because you're the only one that has your phone, then you can prove that it's you. But there's different levels. Unfortunately, I won't go into it, but unfortunately, criminals found ways to also hack text messages or fool you to do trickery and fool you to give up the text message. So the two better ways to do that is you can install something called Google Authenticator. And even if you don't have an iPhone and you may have an iPad, or depends on the age, but many kids sometimes have like an iPad, right, without the actual phone. So you can install on those devices authenticator apps, and basically those authenticator apps, they just randomize a number, and that's the number that you put in to prove that it's you. So there's something called Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator. Those are two great options that you can use. But this thing is not enabled by default. That's the problem. When you sign up for a website, you're like, okay, so where do I enable this? Because it's not something that is available by default. So the place to look for is it's almost always under settings privacy or settings security. Usually there you will see something called two-factor authentication or two-step authentication or multi-factor authentication. It's basically sort of the same thing. And once you enable it, it will ask you for your either phone number if you're using a text base like we said before, or it will ask you to download an authenticator app, which is the Google or Microsoft Authenticator. Or the last thing is what I mentioned earlier. You have like a physical USB device that you just put it in your computer or in your phone, and that proves that you are you. And then you don't have to do anything. You just plug it in when you're asked to log in, and then you pull it out, and that's it. And then usually it remembers you. You don't have to do it at every time you log in, but at least once or twice, just to prove that you are the one that is accessing that account. So that's like probably the most important thing, having a strong password and multi-factor authentication. If you do that, you are probably, I would say, 90% more secure than most of the people. Just having a strong password, a unique password, and multi-factor authentication, those things are game changer in terms of protecting your online accounts. Any questions?
No, I think people are just kind of sharing their experiences of using different types of MFAs, such as YubiKey, Microsoft Authenticator app, and they're all good. And by the way, MS Authenticator app is now a password manager as well, so you get two in one.
Perfect.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. So I think, if you remember anything, we're going to talk about more things, but, like doing those basic things goes really a long way. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit. I want to show you a video here that I found online. Let's watch it and then let's talk about it. And this, I think, is an example of that scams are everywhere and we don't even notice it. So let's, it's about a minute and a half, I think, long. Let's watch it together.
V-Bucks.
But before that, just for the parents or anyone who doesn't know what V-Bucks are basically virtual coins that are being played in Fortnite, a game. So a lot of gamers obviously want more coins because they can buy stuff in the game. However, they cost money. So scammers are basically tricking people to think that they can get free V-Bucks. So let's watch this.
V-Bucks. And then the same guy replied to the same guy. It's the same guy replying. Let's go ahead and hop right into the first website. So it's FortniteVbucks.us. Hopefully I don't get viruses on here. All right, Tim, put in your information. Are you only going to do 20,000 or what? 100,000. Generate your username. Go ahead, type it in. Okay, click continue. All right.
Okay, before we start, so basically they can get 20,000 V-Bucks for free, obviously, right? This is a scam. And what they're doing, in order to get the V-Bucks, what do you need to do? Where do you get it? You don't just get it, it's not like a physical thing you get in the mail. So you have to log into your Fortnite or to, whatever game you're playing. And by doing so, you're basically giving the criminals your username and password. So like immediately after you do that, you can be out of the game and your entire account is being taken over and you can't get it back. Oh, sorry for this. Let's go back here.
Website, so it's 49,000 or what? 100,000. Generate your username. Go ahead, type it in. Okay, click continue. All right, guys, let's see. Fortnite Online Generator. Let's see if it works. So I like how they have recent activity and everyone redeeming 100,000. Why would you redeem 20,000? Okay, so we got account username, selected device. Check. Of course, we got to check. Fortnite V-Bucks, they're generating. Oh, okay, so they generated successfully.
Getting your information right now.
Tim, if you get banned, I'm sorry. Human verification failed. Oh, you have to verify your human, guys. They're totally not making money off these surveys that they have on here. Click verify. Let's see what the verifications are. Redeem Fortnite V-Bucks. Last step. Okay, Tim, so what do you want? Do you want to win an iPhone X? Do you want to get a new Samsung Galaxy S8? Chipotle gift card, $100.
Ooh,
do you like to eat at Chipotle?
No.
How old are you?
Over 35.
Put the heart.
Yeah.
All right, reviewing the answers. Simple.
Okay, so these guys, they're from their point of view, this is just, filling a survey and they make money out of the surveys. But in reality, you're putting in your email, your address. We'll see that in a second. You're saying how old you are. So now they're basically stealing your information, your private information. And remember, a lot of those things that they're going to enter here, like your physical address, your age, when you were born, these are the security questions for resetting your passwords in many accounts that you may have. For the grown-ups, like your mobile providers and stuff like that. So they're stealing from kids, basically, private information.
Plus that, you get, email. No, we're not going to put an actual email in there. We're just going to do that. I don't want a million emails from Chipotle. And let's see if it worked. Fill out this info. So you can see, guys, if you're wondering what this is and why you always have to fill out
address, zip code.
Because these surveys right here, they make money off of you filling out surveys. And that's how they make money. It's just basically you're doing all this stuff for no reason and you don't get nothing out of it. And they make the money.
Now, let's see where you can find those scams.
There's an ad. How did Google even let this become an ad? Google and YouTube has a really big problem with letting these ads go through their ad system. Like, they can't be promoting scams like this. Google is a huge company and they're just promoting all these scams to kids. Like, even on YouTube, there's so many ads on YouTube. Look at this. I searched out free V-Bucks Fortnite and this is what I get. How did YouTube get this ad passed through? What is this guy?
Hi guys, awesome virtual assets generator tool, which really works. Try to
really works.
You don't have to pay anything. And you'll receive them instantly, directly to your account.
Video tutorial. Ooh, we got a video tutorial. We now know what these people look like running these websites.
So, as you can see, those scams are everywhere. They're on YouTube. Scammers are also paying for ads. So they basically work like regular businesses, like marketers. They're pushing their scams out. So it's not like, somewhere shady. We're talking about, front page, those scams. They can be within the videos that you watch. So the fact that it's on YouTube or it's on the first search result doesn't mean that it's legit. at all. And the fact that it has millions of views doesn't mean that it's legit. Like these are all scams, many of them. Any questions? Okay, let's talk about why you should care. You know, like I had a conversation with one of my kids' friend, and he's a gamer, and he was like talking about that he actually got hacked multiple times, and he doesn't care because he's got nothing to lose, and he eventually just formats his computer. He's a gamer, and he just wipes everything out, starts a new one, and he doesn't care about anything that he has on that computer. However, I told him, look, you know that you share the same Wi-Fi as your parents. And he said, okay. And I was like, well, if your computer gets a virus or gets hacked, it's one hop away from your parents' computer and from their work. Like something like a game cheat that you download or a token or a free token, all of those free stuff like we've saw earlier, whether it's just a token generator or it's free games, all of those things, many of them have viruses. You can't really tell, if you're not like a security researcher, to be honest, it's almost impossible for you to know if it's infected with a virus or not. So the fact that you're putting it on your computer and you end up, infecting your home network, and then your parents get a virus, and then it can, they can steal money from the bank, they can keylog everything you type, everything your parents type. Like it's not worth it, to be honest. A lot of people get hacked by just their kids downloading free game cheats and stuff. This whole world of gaming is full of viruses. I just can't tell you how much. So just be very careful out there. It's better to go to your parents and ask to buy something versus to try to find workarounds and download all type of free things from random websites.
An entire ninth grade.
Okay, I want to show you one more example. This actually happened to my kid. So let's see this. Any question about what we've seen so far? Is this
I don't
clear,
think there are any
guys?
questions, but we're having some lovely conversations online. People are sharing their experiences and talking about their parents and kids and stuff like that. So awesome.
I wish I could have seen that. Damn. Sorry.
You can later. Don't worry.
I can't. Okay. So, something that actually happened in my family. So she's an actress. She's basically explaining what happened. So let's take it back and look how an entire ninth grade got hacked. An entire ninth grade. Let's check this out.
An entire ninth grade class was hacked, and here's how. So Emma's texting her friend Mia. Okay, they're on an ugly list. Obviously, nobody likes that. Oh, there it is, a suspicious link. Mia clicks on it, puts in her login information, and now she's hacked. What Mia didn't know is that it wasn't actually her friend Emma who was texting her, but someone who had hacked Emma's account. And now they're using all these hacked accounts to spread fake messages across the classroom until everyone is hacked. If you ever get a suspicious link, even if it's coming from a friend, don't click on it. And if you're not sure if it's real or not, call your friend and ask.
Yeah, so this was basically a chain attack. Her friend got hacked, sent a message to her saying you're on the top ugly list. She was like, okay, this is actually my friend Mia. It's not like a random person. So she was like, what's going on? She clicked, logged in. She was hacked, and then they used her account to hack her friends. And basically, almost the entire ninth grade got hacked this way. So never treat a digital identity, meaning like an online account, on your phone or an email or a DM. You cannot treat them as if you met them in person. People get hacked all the time. Accounts get hacked, and then you think it's the right person you're talking to, but it's not. So if anybody sends you any link, even if it's your friend, and they it requires you to log in, you just call them. Hey, did you just do this? You have to call and verify. That's such a good habit to start from today. Call and verify if anyone asked you to, do something that requires you to log in or to download any attachment or anything like that. And question, like if they send you an attachment, like, okay, who sent that to you? So it's really important. Here is another story. This is actually my kid here. I interviewed him a while ago, and he had a story to tell about one of his friends that his Snapchat account got hacked. So let's see this one.
I mean, one of them got hacked in Snapchat, but they didn't really click on the link. They didn't do anything. They don't know what they did. They just got hacked one day. Bad stuff happened, but overall, my guess is that his password was leaked somewhere. Maybe like he was using the same email and he was using a short password or a very weak password. He probably signed up with his email somewhere else with the same password, and then someone just downloaded a breach database off of the dark web and ran a script that probably tried the login for every single account in there on every single social media website, and eventually they got him. It didn't seem to be a scammer from an actual crime organization. It seemed to be some kid from London. So it was probably just this kid somewhere having fun, and because he didn't do anything. He didn't ask for money. He just spilled the entire camera roll, not camera rolls, the memories and Snapchat, I think is what they call it, and they posted it everywhere. That was just causing damage. He didn't benefit from it. That's some psychopath level stuff, It's
So basically, at least for the parents to know, Snapchat and other apps allow you to take photos, and they are stored not on the camera roll. They are stored, let's say, in Snapchat memories, it's called. So basically, the photos that you're taking are stored there, and maybe sometimes also on the camera roll, but basically they are in the section called memories in Snapchat. Now, this kid actually had, for your eyes only, let's call it that way, pictures of him and his girlfriend, and all of that was just spilled on social media, and like the amount of embarrassment this caused is just unbelievable. He's not telling here the full story, but this is something that people don't understand. If you think this is private and you put it on social media, it's not. Like, people's accounts get hacked all the time. So if you have anything that is private, never store it on your social media app, even in the private section. Like, don't do that. And of course, if you think you're posting it on private, then also those things get leaked all the time. For those of you who are now watching the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, trial, you can see the amount of information that is like going out. It's like crazy, right? So there's really no privacy. When you take a photo, definitely don't. First of all, don't take photos of things that are, let's say, inappropriate. I wouldn't store that on the phone ever, but definitely not on a social media app, because they get hacked all the time. And there are more ways than I've explained today, so it's just easy to hack them. Let's keep it that way. This is a little bit scary. I was thinking about whether to share it or not, but the thing is, it's real, and this is not the first time. So this is Lisa. Just to give you a bit of background, Lisa is a private investigator. So she actually knows and deals with cybersecurity, and she educated her kids about it. But let's hear her 1.5 minute video of what happened, and we can talk about it later. So
my 13-year-old daughter was kidnapped. I went to check on her one morning, just like I did every morning, and she was gone. I checked all over the house, and it hit me pretty quickly that something was very, very wrong. She wasn't in the house at all. I woke up her sister and I asked her where she had gone. She got out of bed and walked to her closet and grabbed a backpack and said I wouldn't let her take this with her. I knew that she was gone. Her sister also informed me she climbed out her bedroom window to meet a boy she had met on Snapchat. I immediately called the police. I called her friends, and I put on social media her missing person post. And it was shared by family, by friends. It was shared by hundreds and thousands of strangers. It worked because the 17-year-old boy that had taken her got scared, and he left her in an abandoned car 2 hours from our house. She finally called me, confused and hurt, because she thought this boy really liked her. Teenagers are being used to lure little kids, young girls, and sometimes these teenagers are victims themselves. So what would I have done differently? I would have educated myself better to the apps that kids are using. Most importantly, I would have listened, because I was telling them the dangers of online, social media so much. I think they stopped listening. I should have stopped talking and listened more, because the clues were there and I was just missing them.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is not the first story. I know a few others because they reached out to me for help. So this is happening on social media. It can be somebody even from school. So never get in a car or someone that told you, hey, my dad is here, or someone who's gonna pick us up. We're gonna go somewhere without telling your parents. And it really doesn't matter which age. Like I've seen people. Let's keep it that way. It's important to realize that the people that you meet online are not always the people you think they are, and this is real. So physical and virtual are sometimes, intertwined. It's not like two different worlds. If you have any questions, again, I'm going to stop from, we have, I think, like 2-3 more slides and we're done. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay. So this is actually I don't know, let's call it this is an interesting one. How good are you in identifying fake profiles? There are many ways. I won't go through all of them. I just want to show you how advanced we are these days with, when it comes to fake accounts and fake profiles. So let's watch this. I think this will, I thought this was a really interesting case of fake identities.
Cheated.
I'll move it.
Media account and post videos that appear to be you.
Hold
Brooke, take over your social media account and post videos that appear to be you.
Well, it happened to a Tampa music producer, and he has been locked out of his own Instagram account for weeks because of it. And that's when he knew he'd better call banking.
Imagine seeing a video of you, but it's not you. And then you realize you've lost control of your Instagram account and can't stop the imposter from posting as you.
It's crazy.
That's Daniel Higgins' reaction when he saw this.
What's poppin', guys? I just invested $300 in the Bitcoin and got $10,000 back. You gotta try it.
What's crazy is that's him, but those words never came out of his mouth.
It looks like you. It's your voice.
Yeah, you got it spot on. I just invested $300 in the Bitcoin and got $10,000 back.
An imposter took over Daniel's Instagram account a few weeks ago, posted this deepfake video, and started soliciting his followers to buy Bitcoin.
It's so annoying to have it up on my page for thousands of people to see.
As a music producer
So this is not, what I think was crazy about this story, that he doesn't have a big followers. I think it just shows how easy it is to create deep fakes today, because if regular people are being deep faked, just imagine how easy the technology is. And I know what it takes to, clone a voice or do stuff like that. It doesn't take a lot, unfortunately. We have just last week, social media was full with deep fakes of Elon Musk, basically in an interview talking about what to invest. and all of that was deep fake, and that was an interview, and it just looks real. So social media went, crazy there, and people were like, this is fake. And Elon Musk also tweeted about it and said, that's not me. But we're at a point where we can't even trust, what we see and what we hear. So if you get a phone call and it's just things don't add up, use your gut feeling, and again, do that extra step to verify, and don't just follow what you see online, because I think there's more fake today than non-fake, or at least equivalent. There's just so many bots, fake accounts, dead accounts that are being brought back to life. Like, it's just so much. So just be careful there.
Cheated, lied.
And this is the last slide that I want to talk about. It's, the App Store. We would want to think that the App Store is safe as well, that everything we download was vetted by Apple or Google. But just remember, there are like millions of apps. Like, the level of verification they do is sometimes minimal. So there are a lot of apps on the App Store that either have viruses, or all their purpose is to collect information about you. There was actually another case where someone downloaded an app that to manage their Bitcoin. So they had an exchange. That's where they buy and sell Bitcoin. So they download an app for managing their Bitcoin, and basically they, put in their username and password to the Bitcoin bank. And basically they lost like 5 Bitcoin, which was like 200 back then, $200,000, just gone, poof, like that. So that was a fake app. That's all it is, just a fake app. And they didn't verify that the app was legit, because you never know. So my advice to you is, first of all, check the apps that you're downloading, but also don't give apps access to your contacts, to your photos, to your location. They don't need it. They just want it. So what I do is I go to settings, privacy on my iPhone, and you can just click on camera, you can click on photos, and then you can see all the apps that have access to your photos. You can click on location, and you can see all the apps that have access to your location. Remember, Doc, settings, privacy, or settings, general privacy, something like that. And just toggle it off, Even if you have an app that requires access to your photo library, like, I don't know, WhatsApp or anything else, because I also use those apps. What I do is I give them access, limited access, only when I need it, and then I just turn it off. That's all it is. It's not like I'm posting on Instagram, every second, or on TikTok or whatever. So whenever I do something that requires access, I toggle it on, I give it access, and then I toggle it back off. Why give unlimited access forever to any app, to your photo album? Just remember, some of the things that you took pictures of may be embarrassing. You really don't want to give any app unlimited access, not to your photos, not to your contacts, not to your location, and all of that. So yeah, I think that, that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this. I'll go back here so I can see you guys. And if you have questions, let's talk.
All right. If you go back, you will probably see a question. I think, Greg asked one a while ago about the flags of Bitcoin. Apparently, this is big out there. So I didn't know if you want to talk about it at all.
That's a whole. There are rug pulls, and let me tell you this about Bitcoin. Unlike bank, when it comes to Bitcoin, when I say Bitcoin, I mean cryptocurrency, not necessarily Bitcoin. There's like thousands of new coins every week. It's like unlimited supply and unlimited amount of scams. The only thing you need to remember is that you're really on your own. If you get scammed, you get scammed. It's not like the bank. You can't go to anyone. Whoever has the key has the money. That's it. And I can talk about, how to check if the coin, and it's almost like investing in, if you really want to be safe in that regards, first of all, I wouldn't keep money in an exchange. Even recently, I think Coinbase said, people reviewed their terms and service, and there was a clause that said that basically if they go bankrupt, they can use your coins to pay creditors. So like, if I have Bitcoins, never brag about it. Never. I'll tell you why. Because it's like telling everyone I have money under the mattress and here is where I live, because that's basically what it is. There were people that, that had money stolen at gunpoint, like give me the USB key or whatever. I need your code for your Bitcoin. So like, if you have a lot of money in Bitcoin or any crypto, just be quiet about it. That's probably number one. Again, assuming it's a legit coin. Like, again, this can be like another hour discussion. Like so many coins and NFTs are not even legit. Huge like scams around it. So you really want to keep your key safe, and I would put it in a safe and in a USB device or some kind of what we call cold storage. And yeah, that's it. Like, again, this is like, unfortunately, this is a topic that will take another hour. This is almost like you're now a bank. So like, how do you secure your money? That's what it means.
I think those are great points, Gabriel. Thank you very much for actually sharing, your opinion on cryptocurrency and I guess safe practices related to that, because I think a lot of people want to get into it or maybe getting into it, and they really need to educate themselves because there are lots of little gotchas and big gotchas as well. And unlike with, normal kind of fiat, currency, there is very little chance of recovery of any kind. Should you get
very
in trouble,
little.
It's gone. Right.
Yeah. I'm talking about exchanges that were like, the owner of the exchange and ran away with the money. Like, and the problem with also educating yourself, that a lot of when you educate yourself around crypto, there's a lot of scammers that help to educate you as well. So the question is, where do you get education? Because the crypto world is full of scammers. If you do want to invest in crypto, not from an investment point of view, from a security point of view, I would probably go with more safe coins. When I mean safe, like at least Bitcoin, that it's not going to go away. It's not a rug pull. They won't it won't be worth zero tomorrow, hopefully. And all you need to do is just keep it safe, which is half of the problem. So you can use Ethereum, there's Bitcoin, there's many, I would go with the big ones. All the small ones are scary, honestly. I don't like, you have to read about the founders, you have to do so much, who's behind it, due diligence. It's almost like what investors do before they invest in a company, to be honest.
Yeah, it becomes a part-time job, pretty much.
Yeah.
Sounds
Some
like
people are just
we may
gambling.
need to do a separate event just on that, on cryptocurrency and blockchain in general.
Yeah. And then you
with
have
great power
NFTs.
comes great responsibility. So you're in control of that, but you're in control of that.
Yeah. And again, that's if what you have is actually what you think you bought, like I'm talking about owning nothing, paying money and getting, something that is actually not worth. So when you think about Ethereum, there's something called smart contracts, and people don't understand that when you buy tokens online, and they don't know how to read a contract because it's code. So the entire Ethereum blockchain is basically based on smart contracts that basically say what will happen when. So that contract can mean you can buy it, but you can't sell it, for example, and you don't even know that, or you can have a clause in that contract. Like, people can't read it, it's you have to understand JavaScript and go in and read the code and understand all of those things. That's why there are so many scams.
All right. So yeah, maybe another session on crypto and NFTs and stuff like that. Yeah. Emerging technologies.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I think this was extremely educational, as I don't know if you can see those text messages now, but I mean, many of them basically, suggest the same thing, that people found it to be interesting, insightful, helpful, and
Yeah, this was great, Gabby. One last question, and then we can break, is can you tell us a little bit more about what Wizer is and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So basically, we do security awareness. So like we help companies educate their employees about the different threats. What we did today was just scratching the surface, to be honest. There is so many types of scams around financial, like wire frauds and stuff like that. So we do security awareness, and we have a solution that companies purchase our solution, or we also actually have a free version that companies use the free version as well. We have both versions. And then what you do is, as a company, you push out the videos that we produce. They're short, 1.5 minutes. Actually, you saw some of them. The one with with my kid that was scammed. They are short, to the point videos that employees get, and we have an app where you can just flip through the videos, and then you can answer a quiz, and you get a certificate that you finished training. So that's how companies train their workforce, how to keep safe online, so the company won't get scammed. And lose money or get hacked, and viruses and all of those things. So, and then we do phishing simulation, which basically we simulate attacks to see that people actually learned. So we test them by attacking them, but obviously not doing any harm, just seeing if we were able to trick any of the employees. And then we tell them, we caught you, this is what you need to pay attention next time. So it's an ongoing education where we do usually at the beginning of the year a bigger training, and then every month like another video or two of what's going on in the world and how to keep an eye to all those threats. And then we do the simulations of attacks, and we have games and all of that. So yeah, if you want to educate your employees, definitely check out Wizer. And like I said, we also have a free version. So yeah.
Great. Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. And sounds like a great platform. I mean, as we learned today, whether you're a kid or adult, a professional for a large multinational corporation, many of these kind of security risks and approaches that malicious actors use to try to get your information or compromise your accounts are really the same. It just depends on who's getting targeted. So well, definitely want to thank you for taking the time to share this great information, and thank you to all of our attendees. I'm going to turn off the recording now, but for anyone who wants to stick around for a minute, feel free, and otherwise have a great evening, and thanks again.